Hello, hello, hello. Another night of our Women's Month, which we are hoping to do 31 interviews for the Women's Month, where we're going to highlight different facets of what women go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so tonight we do have Tarryn. Hello, Tarryn.
Hello, Beyondifer. How are you, Beyondifer?
Ja, yes, sis.
Lekker nervous, maar ons is
As
hier,
hulle eers
girls. Ons
so
hier.
begin.
Ons doen dit, ons doen dit.
As hulle eers so begin. Okay, so Taryn, tonight we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk about going from a single mom to a married
Mm-hmm.
mom. Okay, and that is a
Yes.
lot of time what women go through. Um, so first of all, let's start by introducing yourself. Who is Taryn?
Okay, laat Terren gaan brul af al, want anders gaan julle heeltyd sien the reflections of my soul. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
ek is Terren. Ek was Terren
Mm-hmm.
Fisher, ek is nou Tarryn Arendse. I'm 30 years old. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
mom of two beautiful
Mm-hmm.
boys. I work. I'm not gonna say where I work, just in case
No.
there's stalkers. I do work. I'm employed.
Mm-hmm.
I love to cook. I love to laugh. I love to sing. I used to dance. Before
Mm-hmm.
all of this, I did look like a whole snack. I still feel like I look like a snack, but probably more like a combo meal. But was so sprite that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm a sister. I'm a wife. I'm a daughter-in-law. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
friend. I would like to think I'm an advisor, although I wouldn't always trust my own advice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, pray for me. Pray for me.
That's good. Okay. So, Taryn, how long have you been a single mom?
Okay, so my single mom journey started pretty much from the time I became a mom. I kind of knew very early on that I'm going to be a single mom because I took on a lot of responsibility.
Mm,
And I think weirdly enough, a lot of people have this misconception just because you have to be like divorced or broken up or split to be a
mm,
single mom. But some of us actually find ourselves in relationships and then you are like a single parent, but you're in the relationship with the person you have the child with. So I
mm-hmm,
kind of find myself there. I was there. So I was in a relationship with somebody for 6 years. And pretty much when I had my first son, um, within months, I kind of knew already where I'm going. I
mm,
kind of tried to stop. I thought maybe I was just being negative, but there was already signs for me that I was
okay.
going to be a single mom. So I kind of took on a lot of responsibilities from the get go with my first son, who's 4, turning 5, God willing, in October. And then I have a younger son who's turning 2, also in October, God willing. So I've basically taken up 99.9 percent responsibility for my kids, whether it comes with the psychological, the emotional, the financial, the physical, every aspect really pertaining to my kids I had to do. Whether
Mm,
be it having to buy them clothes, shelter, food, medical aid. They want my medical aid for years.
mm,
Um, so I had to basically take on more than basically 50%. Like my definition of a single parent,
mm,
never mind being a single mom, a single parent is somebody that's basically taking on more than 50% of a two-person job. So that is what I did. Even though I was in a relationship with a person, I did most of everything for my
mm,
kids. And like I said, I did try to kind of say to myself, you're being negative, maybe miskien voel jy nou net jy wil kind of on your ma se footsteps on your ma was a single parent. Now you think you,
mm,
but now I kind of knew um every time when I asked for help, it was always kind of followed with a, I can't.
mm,
So school holidays, anything, doctor's visits, taking the kids to for their vaccinations,
Mm,
um, taking sick leave when they sick. When I'm sick, I must look after them. But when I ask, look, ik voel nie lekker nie, kan jy die kinders hou? Then it always I can't. So that was kind of basically where my journey started very early on, and I kind of just had to embrace it. The beauty of it for me was that I had a great support system.
mm,
I was living with my mother at the time, who was now passed on. So she was really my rock. So when I couldn't look to the other party, the former, I call it the
mm,
former. I don't like to say ex, the former. Um, she was there. So if I needed help with anything, she was there. So she was kind of like my baby daddy
mm.
in
Okay.
in other words, basically.
Mm.
So yeah, so that is where my single parent journey
Would
started.
start it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are married now. For how long are you married now?
I've been married for 6 months. Actually, my 6 month anniversary passed the 23rd, which was like 2 days before my husband's birthday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been a trip. It's been a trip. It's been a journey, and I never really thought I would get to the altar.
Mm-hmm.
I must admit, it was questionable. I was asking, I was clutching my pearls. I was like, Jesus, please don't do this to me. Can't die a virgin. Um, and especially when my mom and my grandma passed, because every girl wants their mom and or their parents to be at the wedding.
Mm.
So when my mom passed, I was like, nou gaan dit seker eers nie gebeur nie, because she's been waiting. She's held out her breath for 6 years for me to get to the altar. This lady done
Mm.
had no more breath left. So I was like, okay. But eventually we
Mm.
got there, the 23rd of January. He was waiting for me. Nogal in front by the pastor. I thought he was nogal going to be a runaway groom, but he was there. I was surprised. Got
Hallelujah.
my all makeup up, and I thought, okay, he had my maid
Mm.
of honor down the aisle. Gaan sien hom en sê, "Psst, draai om, hy sê daar nie." But no, he was there. So 6 months. It's been a crazy but fun. It's been a crazy
Mm.
but fun journey for me being married.
Mm.
Because yeah, I've been raised by a strong, strong, strong woman who
Mhm.
raised me and my siblings. Ah, hoekom sê ek siblings? Jy's aan my sibling. Hoekom praat ons in code? Everybody, she's my sibling. Ek weet nie kom gaan sy anders so sy nie my kin is she. She's my kinfolk. So we were raised by a very, very strong woman who at times like taught us, especially us girls,
Mm.
to you must stand on your own feet. You must be very like level-headed. We very opinionated. So
Mm.
at some point I really thought, nee, ek gaan al wat 'n man is, gaan ek weercha.
Okay. That
Yeah.
that kind of like taps in the next question, which is, what are some of the challenges you found when moving from a single mom to being a married mom now?
I must admit it was very difficult for me because I think if you've been for years, if you've been so accustomed to not being able to rely on somebody, and here somebody else comes and they want you to kind of loosen the reins,
Mm.
um, it's difficult. It is very difficult. Um, Simply put, some of the lessons that I've learned is that
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do everything on my own, and I cannot see every man through the lens as my former.
Okay.
So there are actually men that come to restore and to build and
Mm.
actually have something to bring to the table. It's not everybody that comes just to kind of leech off and sponge off of your hard work. In jy moet werk en hulle sit lang voete
Mm.
by die huis of lê in die bed all day nie. So there are actually men that come and see your pain and then says, look, I want to be able to build with you, and I
Mm.
want to bring to the table so that we can build from where we are now. We build up. So yeah, some of the challenges I have or and still sometimes have. is to let
Mhm.
go and loosen the reins because I'm so used to
Okay.
doing everything on my own, especially when it comes to my sons. I'm
Mm.
used to literally doing everything for them. So now I have somebody that was kind of like from day one, when before I moved here, prior to me moving here, I was taking him
Mm.
just playing with my mom, and my sons were going to a creche in Westridge. And
Mm.
my husband at the time, he was not my husband yet, but my husband actually looked for the daycare where they're going to now. Without
Mm.
telling me, he just went to the daycare, said to me, "Listen, I found a daycare that I think you would love and the kids would probably love." And my kids are actually very, very happy where they are now. The same with the school that we actually applied to that we're hoping for. We will still
Mm.
get word of acceptance for my eldest.
Mm.
Um, it's also kind of been like, now put me on as the legal guardian along with yourself, because if anything happens, I will gladly jump in my car and go if there's an emergency. So I've kind of it's tough. Kyk, jy's gewoon jy gaan gedisappoint word. Die persoon sê ja, hulle gaan, but then they don't.
Mm.
So you just kind of feel like it's best to just do it by yourself. That's the
Mm.
only way you're going to avoid disappointment, is to just kind of just do it yourself. And oftentimes my husband and I, we butt heads. And he actually says to me, "You're so used to to being the man and wearing the
Mm.
pants that you
Mm.
cannot seemingly take off the pants and have them to and hand them to me, belt and all." So yeah, yalla, I'm learning. God is not through with me. Yet pray for me, people. It's a tough ding, but I blame my mother. I have to blame somebody. I'm not gonna blame myself. Ik ga nog nooit myself onder die bus gooi nie. As my ma se skuld. Ek blame pa. Sy het mos gevoel sy
Okay.
wil sy wil sulke vroumense steek, vroumense groot maak. No,
Mm.
sukkel my man. No, wel hy by my skel. Hoekom is jy so? En hoe
Mm.
sê babes, ek kan nie help nie. Because it is what it is. As jy gewoond is iemand bly vir jou sê ek kan nie.
Mm.
You being programmed literally to then take ek kan nie toe jong, ek gaan nou net klaar doen en maak en hy sê as maar my jy party maar vra as jy nie eers vir my nie. Jy doen net jou eie kop se ding. Dan sê ek, "Look, ek moet nog myself program. Hier is 'n man
Mm.
vra vir advies, vra vir ja babes. Ek is nie gewoond aan vra nie. Ek is gewoond aan doen.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That is a good point because do you feel as your past relationship is affecting your new relationship?
In the beginning it did. It
Mhm.
honestly did. I will admit there was still sometimes where I would find myself comparing.
Mhm.
Um, especially when him and I had major fights, then I sometimes say to myself, listen here, het ek actually die regte besluit gemaak? You know that saying when they say rather the devil you know than the devil you don't know? Then I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, ek is gewoond aan die jong se patterns en sy nikke en goedes. I must get to know you still. So,
Mhm.
and especially because there was still a sort of an influence where the former was, where he kind of had, he played a role. Now he's kind of like
Okay.
MIA. In now, there's no more tension because now it's like my husband is being seen as the dad. He's
Mm.
not being seen as uncle or whatever. He's being seen
Mm.
as pa or dada, whatever. So in
Mm.
the beginning, it was very much of there was too much influence from the outside, from this person still trying to.
Mm.
And when we used to, especially when him and I used to butt heads about the kids, then it would
Mm.
sometimes make my husband feel miskien is hier nog feelings involved.
Mm.
Miskien is
How,
een
how
of
do,
die ander een.
yeah. So how do a person? I think a lot of women go is in a similar boat where um things like life doesn't work out as
Mm.
planned. Um, so you meet someone, you have a child with him, and now you have a new relationship. How do you kind of get to that point of, a nice balance between, um, if the father still want to be in the person's life, and
Mm.
I'm now with this person, and kind of how do you sever that feelings of that is my past, but he's in my life because of the children, and this is my future, and also know the relationship. How do you kind of sever that relationship or feelings?
I think um for me, if there's a mutual respect, like,
Mm-hmm.
this was and will no longer be, and
Mm-hmm.
this is the future.
Okay.
So if there's a mutual respect, not just from the father of the children, but also as the new partner. If there's a mutual respect, especially
Mm-hmm.
in the case of when the the father of the children has a new partner, you have a new
Mm-hmm.
partner. I
Okay.
think that if there can be a balance if there's a mutual respect. If you as the mom is being acknowledged as, the mom, and not
Mm-hmm.
what tends to happen, especially if people are broken up, then it's like Jaycee typical baby mama and Jaycee fail aisle. That's what happens. There's not a thing of, listen, we did once love each other. There is a mutual respect. There will always be a love, but not the kind of love that I'm in love with you and I want to be with you. There will always be a mutual respect and love because you guys had years and you guys
Mm-hmm.
had the kids. So in order for that to actually be or go in a positive direction, there needs to be a mutual respect. He needs to respect the fact that you have a partner, especially like now I'm married. There needs to be a respect as this man is going to play a vital role in your children's life, whether you like it or not, because I'm married to him. So there needs to be a mutual respect. From the husband side of the mom, there needs to be mutual respect. This is the father of the kids. He's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be around. That's if he wants to be around.
Mm.
He's going to be
Okay.
around. So we're going to have, as men, we have to come together
Mm.
so that the one doesn't feel threatened by the other. The
Okay.
same with the father. The father of the kids can respect the mom and be like, yes, ons is nie meer saam nie, but ons kan mekaar respect because ons moet by mekaar kom at some point because ons moet jou communication en dit gaan oor die kinders. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that needs to be communicated. That's the other thing also. Just talk about the kids. Moenie praat van jou feelings en my feelings en
Mm.
hoe dit gewees het en ek het no, don't do that. We talk
How,
about the kids.
how how do you get past that though? Because ik zal nou, als ik voor mezelf denk, als ik een tien opbreek en nou, daar gaan feelings is. Hoe kom ik oor daar feelings van jou veel ill type ding voor ik
Look,
move?
het vir my baie lank gevat because hulle sê daar's more steps to when you break up, mos hulle sê the steps of grieving and this anger
Mm,
and goeders.
mm,
It,
mm,
trust me, I also been there where there were words exchanged. It wasn't pretty. At some
mm,
point, I did look like somebody that doesn't go anywhere near the church. The words that were coming out of my mouth was definitely not sanctified, Holy Ghost filled. But look, at a stage, I had to realize this relationship and this person no longer serves me. I can either be a grown up
mm,
and just say, Lord, this is what used to be. I now set this person free because I want this person to move on and I want to eventually have this person also find happiness because I found happiness.
okay.
I don't constantly want to be in a place where I hate and resent because that person goes to sleep at night. Jay had all these bottled up feelings, and that is really how I felt. I was carrying so much resentment and bitterness and anger towards this person. You see me, it's like ek het jou kinders groot gemaak, ek het alles die gedoen en kyk hoe treat jy vir my en jy respek nie vir my nie en ek bly net 'n typical baby mama in jou oë en ek is nog net die
Mm,
vark in die verhaal. Meanwhile kyk hoe groot is jou kinders en die wie? Thank you Jesus. So
mm,
I had to
mm,
literally tell myself, listen, dit maak nie saak hoe jy voel at the end of the day nie. Daai persoon gaan slaap in die aand.
mm,
They are not affected by the fact that you have resentment and bitterness and anger. So you're gonna have to let that go.
mm,
Be the grown up. Let it go. There's many nights when I had to cry.
mm,
Many nights when I had to cry and kind of mourn the fact that we no longer are.
okay.
And sometimes I did feel like it was a big waste of my life. because I really, really 6 years to give 6 years to somebody, to give any amount of years to somebody
Yeah.
is, and then just to have all of that go away.
Mm.
There is a sense of a piece that of you that you feel like you lost yourself because you
Mm.
invested in it. But
Mm.
then you have to also realize you have to let the past go so that you can be able to have both hands free to receive what is in the future.
Mm. Ja, ek hoor vir jou.
So as 'n mooi voorbeeld was, kyk, ek het daar was 'n tyd wat ek 'n wat se ding se naam gery het nê. Ek het 'n Audi gery
Mm.
en ek het my Audi verkoop en van ek sou 'n nuwe kar gekoop het by 'n
Mm.
dealership. En
Mm.
ek was heel excited. Ek het toe my Audi verkoop aan ons family. It
Mm.
stayed in the family.
Mm.
And when the deal fell through with the other car that I wanted to buy,
Mm.
and then I thought to myself, okay, I still have this person's money. I can obviously go back to them and say, listen, I don't have a car
Toe my
now and I
toe
have.
my kar.
Ja, kan ek maar my kar terugkry? You know what I mean? Ek het nog nie 'n 10 cent of 'n rand gespend nie. Kan ek maar my kar terugkry?
Mm.
And when the answer was kind of inevitable and it was no, I
Mm.
felt some sort of way
Mm.
about it. And which is
Yeah.
funny is it's because it's family. And
Mm.
you do sometimes feel like, ag maar, kom is die persoon so, but then you kind of realize you can't also get alles wat jy wil hê kan jy ook nie kry nie. Dit werk nie so nie.
Mm.
And my mom said one day, my mom said this to me. And well, actually at the time I was dating my husband and he said to me so, just leave it, jy gaan 'n kar kry en ek was like, kyk jy babbel nou, jy praat jou mond, los my uit. Ek wil nie van jou hoor, niks van jou hoor. Then my mom actually made me sit down and the words that my mom said to me was, you have to let this go. Jy het 'n besluit geneem, jy gaan jou kar
Mm.
verkoop. Dit was jou besluit. Niemand het vir jou gesê laat gaan jou van jou karry. Jy het besluit
Mm.
jy gaan dit verkoop.
Mhm.
Now you just have to rest in the fact that it's gone.
Mm.
Let that person find happiness now with that
Mhm.
thing that they have. What is coming for you is going to be much better. Had I not taken in what she had said, I would not have found myself in a position a few months, and it literally was almost what 3, 4 months later. I
Mm.
found myself going to a dealership to go and get the keys of a brand new car. Nie eens 'n second hand car nie. Van die kar wat ek in belang gestel het, was 'n tweedehandse kar. I went to a dealership and I went and I was so excited. I went to go get the keys of a brand new car. And the first place I went to was the hospital where my mom was in the. My ma was like, gaan jy kom, gaan jou kar kom wys van ek's like, "Wat die vrou gebeur nie gaan ek wil nog 'n surprise. Ek sal nog net opgedaag het. Hey, can't you say like, no, waar is die foto's van die kar? Is like, ja, mami. Why are you
That is that is a baie goeie example actually.
like, why do you?
Um ja, want I mean yes, soms daar was so aan goede, né? Wat gebeur met
Mm,
jou? Want jy's so used to it, jy weet hoe my kar te ry, jy weet hoe my kar te control, jy weet al vat
mm,
jy die nood van die kar en iemand stop dit voor jou of voete dat om te doen, right?
exactly.
Um, maar met 'n nuwe kar, dan moet jy nou weer leer ry die kar, jy moet vol hoe
Yeah.
die clutch werk en clutch
Oh
control
yes. Die kar
en
wil vir
dan
jou sê wanneer moet jy die gears change? Soos my
en
kar
jy
sê
vra
mos vir
ag
my,
my ander kar het ek nie so gery nie.
"Mos, jy weet jy het jou gears
En
getrek." Nou sê die kar
exactly.
vir jou hier by 30, moet jy by 3 wees. Dan sê like,
Yeah.
kyk hierso, moenie vir my sê nie.
Yeah.
But this
And I
is
mean
one of
that's
those things.
marriage.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
one of those
changing
things.
over from being a single mom to now being in marriage, right? Because now
Mhm.
it's different. It's different things that you must do.
Yep.
Do you get frustrated because die kar weet nie soos jy gewerk het nie? Obviously gaan jy frustrated raak. En soms op terwyl jy in 'n nuwe kar sit, dan dink jy, ag, ek mis my ou kar, ek mis my ou kar, ek mis my ou kar.
Oh,
Oef,
yes.
want
Especially when
jy
die kar het daai goedetjies gehad en sulke goedjies gehad en nou kom
ja,
die kar en hy
ja.
Here
En jy kan die
bietjie.
ander kar en jy kan die ander kar ge-overtake het. Maar die kar
Yes, Nita.
is nou afstrand nou. So
Yes,
nou
you
moet
see
jy nou
that
weer
one had
leer om
turbo. Yeah,
there
you
we
driving
go.
1 liter. You see,
Yes.
but it's an adjustment. Jy moet kan
Jy
you
moet
need
net
to
just
get in where you fit in.
yes.
Yeah, you need to go with the flow there.
How met almal die frustrations because ek verstaan ons as vroue is baie frustrations aan ons weet met ons kinders. What is your biggest regret when it comes to your children?
Ek sal sê kyk, ek het dit van my man ook actually gesê. Tyd tot tyd ek en hy nog toe sê ek vir hom, um I never foresaw, but ek het nog nooit myself gesien weer in 'n relationship gaan nadat ek my my ex gelos het. Sorry gou julle. Ek het nooit gedink ek gaan in 'n nog 'n relationship ingaan nadat ek my ex gelos het nie. And the reason being is because women often get stigmatized if you go into a new relationship, where you have one kid, two kids, however many, and you meet somebody new and you guys fall in love and you guys decide you guys are gonna have kids, then it's often like says loss or whatever, because often when you as a woman have kids from more than
Mm,
one man, you are
mm,
seen as whatever. But for the
mm,
men, it's not that way. So I always say to myself, I was not going to do that. Especially with, like I
mm,
said in the beginning of the interview, I said I kind of realized very early on I was probably gonna be a single mom, and I said to myself, I'm not going to date somebody else because I don't want to have kids with somebody else.
mm,
But then I kind of felt to myself like the reason why I left that relationship was, as I said, it no longer served me. I was unhappy. I kind of stayed for the kids. I didn't stay
mm,
for me. I stayed for the children because oftentimes you know children will flourish in a two-parent household or relationship or marriage, and sometimes it's not the case. And I had to learn. A friend actually told me that, you know what, your kids will be fine if they see mommy's okay. Your kids will be fine because
mm,
ultimately your kids are going to take the lead from you. If they see that you stay around in a relationship and you're unhappy, what do you think is going to happen to them tomorrow? And
mhm,
so I kind of had to say to myself, it's okay to want to be happy. It's okay to want to move forward and be with this person that you see wants to be with me. And so I had a lot of guilt. I had a lot of guilt. My husband and I, when we were dating, we actually broke up, and I actually went back into relationship again with my
mhm,
former, thinking
mm,
that because I still got almost like sort of this backlash that maybe to a degree I didn't do everything that I could to kind of mend or
mm,
save the relationship.
mm,
Um, and then I realized then that I was no longer in love with this person. So what was the point of me being here? So I was actually
mm,
wasting my time. I was wasting this person's time as well. And I was
mm,
wasting the time of the person that wanted to be with me.
mhm,
So I had to realize that, listen, the regret, jy moet nou besluit, wil jy happy wees of gaan jy hier bly en nog 'n
mm,
paar jaar van jou lewe mos jy het klaar 6 jaar gemos jy het nou en ja die council gaan jy net kindertjies hier optel soos 'n nasionale sport of wat gaan jy maak? And I literally said to myself, listen, I choose myself before my 30th birthday, days before my 30th birthday, I literally said to myself, I choose myself. I chose Tarryn to be happy. And I moved forward and I went into the relationship with my husband at the time, who was my boyfriend.
mm,
And I was happy that I made that decision. In the
mm,
beginning, yes, it was a huge adjustment for my kids, especially my eldest. And I felt like there was where my regret came in, where I kind
mm,
of sometimes still felt like, het ek die regte besluit gemaak?
mm,
Did I maybe take into consideration my children, their feelings, how they were going to adapt? And I said to myself, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. Alles gaan
mm,
nie reg kom en net poof paffies. Everybody likes each other. It's going to be a
mm,
work in progress. The same like him and I
mm,
we're going to be a work in progress. My kids and
mm,
him, they're going to be a work in progress.
mm,
So there was a long time where I felt like I should have probably had my kids when I got married or
mm,
waited until I got married to have my kids. So that was
mm. Very great.
one of my biggest regrets.
Mm,
Was probably the order in which I did things, which was like have two kids before I got married. Um, Whereas I felt maybe that if I had been married and then had kids, I'm not
mm,
even saying maybe with the former, it could have been with my
mm,
husband as well. It,
mm,
but just the fact that I would have had that solid foundation first before I had kids, and then probably everything would have moved accordingly. That
mm,
is something that I sometimes still battle with today. Um, but yeah, I realize give it out in the trial and error.
mm,
You're not always going to get everything right.
mm,
I see now that my husband and and my husband and our kids, because I don't say it's my kids and it's not his kids. I says
mm,
my husband and our kids was calm down. We slowly
mm,
but surely we're getting there. So the regrets and the guilt and whatever I used to feel, it's starting to disappear. It's like really like uh,
mm,
in the back.
mm, mm,
It fluistering meer so by in my oor. So
mm,
it's we getting there. It was hard for me in the beginning,
mm,
and I literally had to say to myself, listen, choose, because at the end of the day, your kids are going to be fine when you are fine. And now
mm,
that I am fine, I can see that my kids are also on board.
mm,
And so yeah,
mm.
I think it all worked
You
out.
you mentioned a lot of times guilt, guilt, guilt. Like I stayed because I felt guilty, even though I knew from a very young age that it's not going to work out. I stayed because people say if two people is together in a marriage or in a
Mm,
relationship, the kids are better off. Um, I knew a long time that it was not going to work out, but I stayed for the kids. Um, I met this person knowing that I'm not gonna, this relationship not gonna work. I left my
yeah,
boy. Well, I left because I now knew I was not going to be this relationship not going to work out. I met someone new, and then that guilt came again with my kids.
yeah.
Is I hear you saying that it's now at the back of my head and it's kind of moving away, but is this a thing that I think is more prominent when you were a single mom and now you're moving to like a married mom of did I make the right choice? I know as a married woman that just got married from single and have a family, you certainly also have guilt when you get married, especially like the first 2 years. It's like, ooh, ek gaan vir ewig saam met die man moet bly, het ek die regte besluit gemaak.
Mm,
But now I guess I would think if you already have children outside with another person, you know that relationships, and now you don't have children maybe with this person yet. Um, is that guilt a bit more than the normal married person, or is it kind of also similar?
I think it on the one hand it could be similar. I
Mm,
think for me it was just I think first of all the guilt was because of the way that we were raised. Because of
okay.
the way we were raised. We were always raised that this is the way you do things. I think in most households, you were raised that you must finish high school, you must go to university or to college, you must get a nice job, you must meet a nice man or a nice woman, and
Mm,
then you must get married, and you must
mm,
get your own house together. And then you
mm,
guys must have, well, maybe first travel a little bit, get to know each other. Then you must have kids.
mm,
Me, I was I came from, I was working overseas. I came back. It was not even a few years. I met my former at work. We went from being friends to just going, we were like just overnight crazy that was not mal, ons was net crazy in love. Every single minute and second we could spend together, we were together. And then as soon as the kids came, it started becoming a thing of, when are you going to come see us? When are you going to come spend time with us? Now I have to beg. So then it was a thing of die guilt. Hoekom het ek myself in die position ingesit? Ek het
mm,
geweet maybe this wasn't the order in which to do it. Because now vind ek myself, now I have to fight en ek moet nou trek vir iemand se aandag. I think
mm,
that is basically where my guilt started because I knew I wasn't supposed to have kids
mm,
because of the way I was raised before marriage. When the
mm.
second one came, I literally didn't want to tell my mom I was pregnant the second time. My mom happened to find out I was pregnant by scratching in the bun and finding my pregnancy test. Every two combas the auntie subasi. She happened to find my receipt and my pregnancy test in the bun. Mind you, she probably thought we were so close to the first one, the first pregnancy test we did. We were watching what is this? The State of the Nation address where the
Mm,
politicians whose comedians is where they roast each other. I literally did the test, put the test next to me. I looked at the test. I saw it was positive. She asked me, "What does it say?" I said positive, and we kept on watching the TV. So I think because the first one went so smooth, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this to her the second time around. So she went to go snoop in the bin and saw not just the receipt but the actual test. And then she came to me, and the minute she asked me, um, she actually stood in the door and she asked me, "Is there something you want to tell me?" I knew already. Uitgevang is ek. I started crying immediately. I wept. Okay, I wept like they say Jesus wept. I wept because it was like, how am I gonna do this to this woman twice over, staying under her roof? Um, no, girl, your fallopian tubes cannot be clapping this much. So
So, so there was more guilt for the fact of that you didn't follow the protocol of
yes,
how to do it. And
yes,
then it also didn't work out. It's like wanneer jy recipe maak, sy gaan against jou ma se recipe en dan flop die koek,
mm-hmm,
dan is jy nog upset.
yes,
Dis meer upset. Want jy kan nie vir haar reg geproef wat type ding nie. Okay, I
yes.
get it now.
And many
I
times
get it.
when me and the former when we used to fight, and I actually used to say the words, God, maybe you shouldn't have given me my children because now I've put them in a situation
Mm,
where I cannot take them out of. They're here now. I cannot reverse. I cannot push them back where they came from. So I now have to make the best of these burnt cookies and just be like, hey, eat around the burnt edges and the crust and just get to where the nice gooey parts are. So that is where the guilt came from because to me it's like now I have to move on.
mm,
In the one hand, I'm being told that yeah, you left me, you're now going here, and as I said, there's no daar kom
mm,
my stigma van nou jy los nou vir my, nou wil jy by hom wees, and
mm,
nou is dit nou word jy sleg gesê of jy
mm,
word sleg aangekyk. Um, so it's almost like you did wrong by choosing your happiness. And you should
mm,
have, and then it's always, then they start to say, but did you think about the kids? You're not thinking about the kids, you put yourself first. And blah, blah. And I'm like, for 6 years, I thought about my kids. That's why I stayed.
mm,
That's why I stayed. Now that I thought about myself, I'm also supposed to be made to feel guilty because I chose myself. So what is it? Because you damned if you do, damned if you don't.
mm.
So
So there's
sometimes
yeah,
I
there's a
do feel guilty because to me it's like
mm,
now I've kind of given, not given really, but now somebody else has come into my life.
mm,
Now they feel like they have to take on my burdens and my luggage and my
mm,
baggage that I came with and kind
mm,
of make do and help me. And sometimes I feel bad. I
mm,
do feel bad because it means like I met this person. He doesn't have kids. Hier kom
mm,
ek met twee kinders. He's the only child.
mm,
Yeah, I come with two kids to to disrupt and to just ek maak sy ma en sy hy's net jammer kan met my en my kinders.
mm,
But to them, they don't see it that way. But
mm,
it's just the way I'm programmed to think. Now I'm like,
mm,
what do ik? I'm now messing up this person's life. This one saying to me, I messed up his life because I left him. I'm now
mm,
probably gonna mess up this one's life with my two
mm,
children.
mm.
So yeah, it's
Yeah, and you the common denominator van tussen
yeah,
al twee jy's die een, so the guilt keeps on coming kind of thing.
yeah.
So I guess it takes a bit, but now how as a woman has this shaped you? Because like it would seem it started like with this thing that we program our goals with, which is probably something now um that I as a mother now can take away in dealing with my goals in with, don't putting that kind of steps for them
Mm.
because already I'm setting them up for failure in a way. Um, but what did that all of that do for you as a woman? What has happened with you as a woman in how you now see yourself, how you are coping, how you are gonna do the rest of your life? That guilt.
Um, I think guilt aside, the situation that I found myself in has
Mm,
really made me strong. Really, I think even so after the passing of my mom, because I used to go to my mom for literally everything. If I wanted to um Savings if I wanted to take out a loan, I would be like, but mommy, what do you think about this? If I wanted to go and, like I said, if I wanted to buy a car, mommy, what do you think? What a car dang
Mm,
mommy moet take. So now I'm literally left in a place where I have to stand on my own 2 feet. Not that I didn't do it, but because my support system was there,
mm,
I now literally have to dig deep and do the damn thing, like they say. It would know fast bite and just decide, listen, this is my decision, this is I'm going to stick to it. Come hello, I
mm,
water. I'm gonna have to just do this damn thing. And
mm,
it's really taught me to just trust my own instincts, to go with what I feel is right. And look, if I make a mistake, I just have to deal with the consequences and work around it. It's really, really, really made me stronger. Ek is ook iemand wat I was so used to hiding because my ma was iemand wat my ma kon bid. Dat die mense wat my ma kon bid, né? Ek het baie agter my ma se gebede weggestiek.
mm,
Because I know my mom used to pray for all of us, all six of our grandkids, all three of our children, everybody, their cat and dog, she used to pray for. So to me, it's like if I knew I had the issue and I just like kind of mommy, placed it in her ear, I knew she was gonna go to God on it.
mm,
Now I literally have to find myself praying for myself. Daar is nie meer 'n mami om na toe te gaan nie. Daar is nie meer mami gou teks mami ek gaan nou die en ek gaan nou die. Now I just have to kind of bend grunt through it and be like, kyk so wat gaan jy beklei, gaan jy pray. Just pray.
mm,
I really sometimes think to myself, I don't know how these young girls that find themselves being moms at the age of probably from 11, 12, they on school, they babies themselves. They have babies. I don't know how they do it, why they want to do it to themselves because ek meen vir iemand soos myself, ek was 26 toe my eerste kleintjie kom and I literally say to myself, Young, at least I'm working. At least I don't have to go and ask anybody.
mm,
Up until this day, I said, I'll be damned if I go stand by meneer se mense se huis en gaan vra vir 'n pakkie neppies, wipes, enige. I've never to this day done it. As soon as I said, I won't
mm,
do it. Ek sal liewerste my knieknoppe afweek as wat ek gaan staan en smeek en vra, help my om my kinders groot te maak. I'm not going to do it. So I sometimes really, and even that, it's kind of made me think a bit different because a lot of us tend to judge young girls, especially that is on school, that find themselves some of them is not even on high school, they're in primary school and they have kids. And a lot of us like, yeah, maar just vroeg rijp, vroeg vroeg. If anybody looks at my situation, ek was hier getroud toe ek my twee kindertjies in die wêreld bring het. Anybody can turn around and say to me, so much jy is vroeg rijp, vroeg vroeg, want jy was nie getroud nie. It's
mm,
not an age thing, it's most how we were
mm,
raised.
mm,
Toe ons ouers gesê het jy Dion is vroeg ryp vroeg vroeg. I'm sure they meant it in the case of jy het nie 'n man nie, jy's nie getroud nie, maar jy loop lê
mm,
met wie ewen wie en so. So anybody could have also said to me ek is vroeg ryp vroeg vroeg. So I had to
mm,
kind of just take a back step and say to myself, listen, jy wat so judgerig gewees het, né? Jy vind nou jouself in dieselfde predicament. Ja, jy's groter en jy's ouer as hulle, maar your situation is no better. Just
mm,
because you're working, it's no beter. Want jy vind ook jouself nou in die plek waar jy nou sukkel.
mm, mm.
So I had to
Yeah.
also kind of just like
Mm,
ons vroumense wat so vinnig is, veral vroumense op vroumense wat
mm,
mekaar judge before you
mm,
even know the circumstances. Because look, like myself, for all I know, that girl could have been sexually molested, and that's how she felt pregnant. But to me, it was just a thing of, she's pregnant, she's op school.
mm.
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Look, this, I think, Mary, this is why we're doing the month of August, because normally we
Mm,
only celebrate Women's Month, but we celebrated on the 9th of August. And as an organization, we felt, look, why not celebrate every day with a different woman? Because
yeah.
every August we hear that thing, woman, when it comes to Women's Month, woman, you must fix the other woman's crown. But how
Mm.
can you be fixing a woman's crown that you don't understand? Like you said now, we used to judge younger girls,
Yep.
wel en ons noem vir hulle daai hulle is vroeg vrot, hulle is vroeg ooggat en almal die goede.
Mm.
And yet we don't understand what's going on. Now you find yourself um also in a situation where you've been with a partner, you fell pregnant, now you're a single mom, same difference. Okay?
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
quickly, Akifa says you can't always trust the stability of a marriage either, which is so true
Yeah,
because
it is true. Yeah.
again it comes back to that guilt feeling that you said constantly. It's guilt. Um, I didn't follow the protocol of the community where it says you need to go work, you need to go finish matric, you need to go study, you need to go do
Yeah.
that, you need to get married, then you need to go have a child. Most of us get married still het gaan maar woest daar binne. Die arme
Mm-hmm.
kinders moet ook maar dak en duif vir hulle lewe.
Yeah.
But we say because that is what people is saying would be beneficial to children. So
Yeah.
it is not about all of that. It is just about being kind to yourself. And I like the fact that you actually mentioned the fact that I felt guilty, first of all, because I didn't follow the protocol of what society says must
Mm.
happen, which made me stay in a relationship longer as what I needed to be
Yeah.
because I needed to prove to these people like, okay, so I did do wrong, but it's
Yeah.
like when the GPS say turn right, I say vir die GPS, ek weet waar toe ek gaan.
Oh yes.
Nou,
Oh
nou
yes.
vind ek jou
I
van die
actually say to
verkeerde
the
pad.
woman, "Ag, shut up man, ek weet waartoe ek gaan." Hou jou mond. Ek sit as maar op mute. Ek het nie nog tyd vir haar nie. Verkeerde bus. Nee, partymal
Nou,
ek is
okay.
eerlik. Ek is eerlik. Ek sê maar pak ek shut up Jay man. Jy weet nie waarvan jy praat nie. Ek was hoewel in die straat of jy hoef nie vir my te sê nie. Sê net vir my waar die huis is, nommer. Ek soek nommer 36. Daai is al wat jy vir my sê stop daar. Maar moenie vir my sê gou links of regs nie.
And isn't
Ek
that
sê
how life is? Huh? That is how life is. Society say that we say no, and then we find ourselves in a situation now we feel guilty when ons was nog moes kwaai geweest. Ons het geweet wat ons
ja,
moet doen.
ja.
No, now you kind of stay, you feel that guilt, and you can't move on until it's you literally die and
Hm,
lose yourself as a woman because sy was verkeerd wat jy wil ook sê dit was verkeerd and there's no one else to blame. So
hm.
until
Ja,
I
maar
can
dis
find my
ek
move out.
dis hoekom ek ook gesê het in die begin. Baie het die perception to in order to qualify or to be
Mm,
defined as a single parent, mom or dad, you
mm,
have to have been broken up,
mm,
divorced,
mm,
relation broken up. But dit is nie so nie. Daar's mense wat hulle self vind in relationships. Ek was in 'n relationship. Daar's mense wat hulle vind in marriages. Soos Akiva sê, sy sê, I was 7 months pregnant, my husband left. I didn't plan to be a single mom. But there's people that's actually today still married, doing literally all the work.
mm,
They're doing everything. And they don't know that they're actually a single parent, but because of the fact that you have this on on your finger, you feel it justifies the fact that you must stay.
mm,
And I think that's a I also had to actually realize because funny enough, me and the former used to go to pastors when this was now in the many times that we now thought, okay, we're gonna get married now. And then the pastor always used to ask us, but now why do you want to get married? And my answer was, because we have a child. So I thought, om nou die soos hulle mos altyd gesê, om nou toe te smeer dat jy nou 'n bastard child het. Want back in
mm,
the day het hulle die ding genoem soos dit genoem is. Dit 'n bastard child, want jy was nie getroud nie. Nou om die ding toe te smeer, sê jy maar nou okay, jy gaan maar nou trou met die man.
mm,
It doesn't because at the end of the day jy trou met iemand wat jy nie gaan nommer 1 jy gaan nie kan depend op hy persoon nie.
mm,
Die responsibilities is nie equally split nie. Jy moet
mm,
letterlik dag en nag, jy werk ook, hy werk.
mm.
Maar jy moet huis toe kom, jy moet kook, jy moet clean, jy moet kind was, jy moet klere was, jy moet vir hom oppas, hom voete uitsmeer, sy toenails knip. Jy moet alles doen. En dan nog vanaand, dis 'n pineapple aand. En dan sit jy is Woensdag. Jy moet alles doen. But because you're married, you seem to think in your mind that's okay.
Mm.
So I also quickly
Yeah.
had to get rid of this idea to get married just because I had a kid with somebody.
Mm.
That is not a criteria to get
Mm.
married. You need to get
Yeah.
married for the right reasons.
For the right reasons, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
that
anders
is
dan gaan jy
something.
ook in 'n marriage and sit met guilt because you're going to also feel
Yeah.
like you got married for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that we are trying to work through with in our society as well. We also trying to get. We don't say leave just because you're unhappy, because it doesn't mean you are not happy in a marriage that you don't love, but go into it for the right reasons. Let me just
Mm,
read some of Akifa's comments. So first of all, she says, "Yep, I believe that too. I see married moms but doing exactly same what single moms does." And then she
mm,
also says, "In fact, I think it's harder." Yes. So she's agreeing with everything you're saying, because society has a delusion that you have help, but you don't. Um,
mm,
so yes, it is something that we need to start talking about more, I feel, because we always criticize the single moms and we don't know what is going on there, why it went the way it did. Um,
mm,
so many different things, and sometimes we as married women is in that same boat, but ons wil dit nie noem nie because it is mos nou taboe om dit te noem.
mm,
And a lot of the times it's just the on Friday we're gonna talk to a lady about sex, sensuality, and intimacy. It's a lot of times just things that you need to work through, but then there's
mm.
also a lot of the times that because of that guilt factor, people stay, and because of that, they abuse tend to come in a lot of the times. Maar ons gaan nie daaroor praat nie, ons sal liewerste, because
Mm.
we need to do that list of things that society says we need to do. Um, and so now as women, it really teaches us for the next generation in how to not just raise our daughters, but also our sons. That it
True.
is okay to come home. It is okay not to. Yes, we wouldn't want you to just lose yourself with every man. That is not the way to go. But
Mm.
if it happens, there is a safe place at home, so that that guilt don't overwhelm, and you can correct the mistake quicker than letting it go for too long.
Yeah.
Just one last question before we go on. Um, what does being a woman mean to you? I know you've answered this in a way for when it comes to the relationship and everything else, but I want to ask you as a woman, what does this what does a woman what does it mean for you to be a woman? And then you can end off also with a last statement, as also just maybe through that a motivation for other women out there that has also gone through what you have gone through.
Okay. To me, being a woman just means I think being assertive and being powerful, but yet also being kind at the same time. Just being unapologetically yourself and not making any excuses for the decisions you've made. Um, and then also I think maybe just being vulnerable with those um that you love and that love you without necessarily feeling that you're weak. That's the other thing that I think me being a woman means to me because that's something that I struggled with for a very long time.
Mm,
Ek sukkel partymal om vir my man te huil and never had to get to a point where if I if I'm feeling a certain type of way, I need to be able to express it because in the former I couldn't. And
mm,
anders dan was just maar just dramatic and just that and just that. So now I have to literally get to a place where I don't bottle things up. I can literally be able to tell you how I feel. If I want to cry, I want to cry.
mm,
So yeah, young, and I think we must also get away from this because I think A lot of this can be avoided. The single mom or single parent, if everybody just does their share, I think this thing of being selfish and just thinking about yourself needs to end. Because ek wil graag weet in watter Psalm staan dit dat 'n vrou moet letterlik alles doen. Can they please show me where Thessalonians, where does it say a woman has to do everything? Where? I just want show me that portion of scripture. If we both working, why is it that it's expected of a woman to literally do everything, and for the man just to come home, expect his warm plate of food, and then get into bed? Where? I want to know, because there is also where a lot, because a lot of these men, young men, are walking around here because they think in their mind that is the way it's supposed to go. You come to the woman, you pregnate her, same as in Kumkla, and or they think the just them giving the finance, that is where their role stops.
Mm,
They feel
mm,
like embracing a child, hugging a child, being there emotionally for a child. Sometimes just picking up your child and playing with your child is it's unheard of. It's the mother's job. The only place where they come in is wanneer hulle die beheld moet optel of wanneer hulle die paycheck moet skryf. Want dit en daai moet betaal word. It's absolutely wrong because it's literally a thing of you need to teach certain things to the children. I need to teach certain things to children. Like now, I'm already ek pap my nut because ek weet hoe ek weet hoe mans mense groot te maak hè. Ek weet nie. Ek as 'n vrou, wat weet ek van 'n man? I'm glad now I have a husband who can be a model to my children to
mm,
to show them this is what a man should do, should be, and where
mm,
I come in again is be
mm,
kick nurture, be soft. I'm there again to kind of show this is how you need to treat a woman. This is how you need to respect. Dis hoe
mm,
jy met jou kinders moet praat. It's in nodig om how, hoe en jy wil net no. It's not. He needs to be like, this is how you respect a woman. This is how you treat a woman.
mm.
So if we all come together, maybe we can also stop the cycle of having single parents raising kids, and in essence, you lack somewhere because you don't have. Soos in my case, ek weet nie
Yeah.
hoe boys groot te maak. I'm going along, getting
Mm,
advice, so and so and so. But if we can break the cycle, I feel like
mm.
we will absolutely be able to stop messing up a lot of kids' lives with the things that we
That is
do.
that is so true. Yeah. On when is the sixth Friday? We are
Yeah.
actually talking to two stay-at-home moms, and I think then we will tackle a bit more of that
Mm.
portion of what you just mentioned now. Um, how do you proportion things in a relationship? Because
Yeah.
ultimately, I love this quote that I read today. It says, "Parenting well does not come naturally. What comes naturally is parenting the way you were parented. So
Mm.
we need to then change the way we are parenting so that our kids know how to do it better. And
Yeah.
then they do it better and then their kids does it better. So we need to be that front runners of let's try something different. Even if the cookie burns, at least we
Mhm.
know next time wanneer die oond afkom, moet we 'n bietjie minder flour in ek kan nie bak nie. Maar jy verstaan wat ek meen. Bietjie
Yeah.
minder sout of
We know
something
the
moet jy
recipe.
ingooi. Here we go.
Yeah,
um
no.
then at least we know that.
Mm.
So yes, there is definitely, and when we talk about pregnancy and all of these things, we will also understand how all of that filters into our children. Um, and that is coming the 12 that we are talking about that. But you brought up a lot of good points that we will see how all of this connects when we talk to the different women throughout the month. Is there anything that you want to end off with? Pearls
Okay,
of wisdom.
my last statement, nah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to love the skin you're in. We are all uniquely made, and we don't need to feel ashamed just because you're thicker or plumper. A shout out to my big girls who don't get enough love. You are thick and juicy, baby. Ons is 'n kyk hierso girl. Jy's 'n volgende combo. Ek sê vir jou daar's mense wat nie snacks wil hê nie. Hulle wil combos hê. Jy steeds toe gaan na soos jy die burger chips en die buddy cool drink. And yeah, I think we as women just need to stand up together and stop feeding into this thing of breaking each
Mm,
other down. I just feel like it's hard enough just being born with breasts and vagina as it is.
mm,
And we can all go without making each other feel bad about silly and petty things. I think, especially now,
mm,
in because it's Women's Month, I think, yeah, just let's love each other. We find our
mm.
purpose and don't forget that God loves us all, man and woman. So yeah.
Ja, en that is it. En met
Mhm.
daai gaan ons baie dankie sê vir Tarryn.
Ons sluit af.
Um
Staan terug met 'n
ja.
dankbare hart. Amen. Hallelujah.
So we're gonna say
Hallelujah.
thank you to her for availing her time tonight. Tomorrow night, our topic is are you in a narcissistic relationship?
Ooh, ek moet
It
intune.
will be very nice and interesting. Lola is going to chat with us tomorrow. So please tune in. For this month of August, every month from 8 to 9, we are discussing different facets of a woman's life.
Mm,
And we want to, in that, bring a bit more kindness and awareness to each woman out there so that we can be more kinder to each other. There's going to be times that we're going to talk to teens and everything else. So please check out our Facebook page so that you can know what is happening when. Um, and again, like I said, tomorrow night we will be back with Lola talking about are you in a narcissistic relationship? So thanks
mm.
to everyone. There's one last comment that says, Taryn, um, always cracks me up. So Akifa, yeah, so ek moet altyd die
I try.
onnodigste goeie sê. Yeah.
I try.
But I hope you guys learn from this tonight. It is not easy being a single mother, and I think it's even more difficult losing the reins going into marriage. But ons gaan nog daarvan praat. Friday we're talking about stay-at-home moms en ek weet ons gaan baie complain. So stick uit.
Mm.
But tomorrow night, Lola, are you in a narcissistic relationship? So thanks, Taryn, and
Thank you,
thanks everyone
Bionifa.
for watching. See
Good
you.
night. Lekker.
Bye.
Bye.